Hello, dear friends. There are so many rumors about Trump and about his theory of success called Trumpism that I decided to put my put out my own opinion of Trumpism because it's a very strong and perspective strategy of success. So let's start listening what it's about, what it's all about.
Trumpism as a mirror of the revolution of common sense. Donald Trump's victory in the U.S. presidential election on November 5th, 2024 became the core axis of the revolution of common sense, both within and beyond the United States. It represents a new political and intellectual phenomenon of clear significance for academic study. Trumpism may be understood as a vivid revolutionary style in global politics and in any national, defense, economic, or related political domain. From 2025 onward, this style has been characterized by a. Accelerated rates of transformation inside and outside the country, b. A complex, yet generative AI validated harmony between real-world governance and, more often, carefully designed virtuoso improvisations by political actors within Trump's team, assisted by generative AI. C. A high degree of synchronization with Trump's laws and executive orders aimed at implementing reforms, frequently running counter to democratic norms and legislation. From January 20th, 2025, Trumpism moved away from populism oriented toward politically and economically inert lower strata, long accustomed to half a century of state-funded entitlements guaranteed by Democrats, toward rapid and carefully calibrated, by generative AI investment and tax advantages offered by Trump to affluent and dynamically developing segments of the population. These groups constitute the true locomotive of the revolution of common sense. Within the Pentagon, the State Department, the FBI, and other federal departments, deputy secretary positions are increasingly occupied by millionaires or billionaires. Trumpism relies precisely on these small groups drawn from the oligarchic elite, treating them as compact yet highly effective and creative ensembles of its own form of political modern jazz. In this respect, Trumpism resembles the family clan-based ensembles of Arab societies, long regarded as successful practitioner of prosperity through the strategic use of soft power. Key characteristics of Trumpism. 1. Speed and complexity of reform completion that were unattainable prior to the era of generative AI, which began when Elon Musk acquired Twitter and subsequently created generative AI systems. 2. Asymmetric top-down actions of Trumpism, implemented through White House executive orders, strengthen its influence among the electorate. This is evidenced by the growing impact of the revolution of common sense during its self-defense by President Trump against alleged disinformation from the BBC Corporation via a $10 billion lawsuit. 3. A harmonious, almost genetic commitment to the American way of life as a compass for maintaining a steady America First course. 4. Rejection of sympathy toward demonstrative or performative Americanism among migrants. 5. The intellectual appeal of Trumpism, which is no longer political populism but rather a generative AI validated paradigm for a reflective political elite both inside and outside the United States. 6. Small elite decision-making groups in place of large, fiscally burdensome crowds of risk and challenge experts. Generative AI-based blockchains prioritize localism over globalism, weakening the yoke of bureaucratic centralism and the self-interest of local bureaucrats. 7. Functional individualism within Trump's team, where each member plays the piano as she can. Therefore, opposition actors, and especially illegal migrants, don't shoot at the piano player. 8. The founder of Trumpism is Trump himself, with concepts developed since 2015, while consciously incorporating earlier historical lessons from U.S. transformations under Republican President William McKinley, who introduced tariffs at the turn of the century to enable U.S. prosperity during the Roaring Twenties, as well as lessons from the transition away from Democratic President F.D. Roosevelt to the anti-democratic-minded Truman, and from two strong Republican presidents, General Eisenhower and Nixon. Like Trump, all of them rejected reliance on the US MIC and foreign wars in favor of rational trade as an instrument of soft power. 9. Trumpism as a turning point in global policy and the US politics, transforming all of them from mass propaganda practices in the spirit of the Cold War, as demonstrated by Ukraine and other conflicts that Trump 47 has ended or is in the process of ending, into a serious, intellectually saturated sphere, enhanced by generative AI, of communication among elites, citizens, their armed forces, and the military of the US allies and their elites. 10. Trumpism as the foundation of the revolution of common sense in the countries of the former Soviet East and in the SCOBRICS nations, where digitalization might expose the egoism and nepotism of centralism, shifting governance in favor of confederal non-centralism and cyber self-governance by AI-educated masses. Trumpism.
Well, that's all I wanted to say to you tonight. And I hope that you will ask me other questions to explain probably these 10 principles of Trumpism. They are very optional for our revolutions of common sense. Bye bye now. See you next time. Bye bye.